the overwhelming majority of the time, the parents of trans kids don't usually understand. They might be like, well, okay, well, what I'm hearing is that you want me to let you grow your hair out. That is doable, and I think that's okay. I'm not sure yet about this nickname that you want to go by, but we can talk about it. Most parents are like, I don't really want to let you transition.
That if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination.
What? What? Are you serious? So we have been looking at a lot of different anti-trans bills over the past year or so. A lot of politicians kind of making it their main issue, their wedge issue, whatever you want to call that. They are trying to drum up a lot of hatred against trans people. They explicitly are now saying, like, we want you to not have the right to transition as adults. Some of these super PAC groups are saying these types of things. Now Trump is at it. I mean, yeah, like I didn't not expect this, but it just has finally happened now. And I guess it's as serious as we thought it was going to be when it did eventually happen. Ron DeSantis is kind of making it seems he's going to make the push for trying to be the Republican nominee. And we want to try to do what we can to help that not happen, which I guess means that we want there to be as much division in the Republican Party as possible. Like, I don't want Trump, but I think Ron DeSantis he's going to be a more effective fascist. I want Trump to run third party. What I understand is that if you have two Republicans running at the same time that you have a Democrat running, or the other way around, it works vice versa as well. Anytime you have two people really who like make it to the top and they actually have to choose at the DNC or whatever between the two of them, that typically goes better. And when the final, when you actually get to the election, it tends to go better for the party that had only one person. If you have the one Republican versus the two Democrats, well, you kind of split the party loyalty between those two Democrats. So usually the Republican wins in those cases and vice versa. From what I understand, historically speaking, in the United States. But it'll be interesting to see what happens, because it does seem to me as though they are going to run against each other. But yeah, I guess I want to talk about that like more after, because the main thing that I wanted to start with here, this obviously is relevant to 2024 because this is a campaign ad. This is, I think, is this Trump's first campaign ad of the 2024 election cycle, which is starting now? It's going to be 2-year election cycles every goddamn time forever now. It's going to be forever now. Yeah, so this is his first. He's making us the #1 issue. So let me get my headphones on and we will watch this thing and respond to it, because apparently it's just bad. It's bad. People say it's bad. And it's time to go.
The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse. Very simple.
Oh, just coming out right out strong with it. Coming right out strong with it. I don't... Hit like if you're going to be as frustrated as me throughout the rest of this video.
Here's my plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth.
Emotional mutilation. He just invented a whole new concept. Like, why? I don't understand. Like, it's obviously genocidal, but it's also laughable. I find it hard to take him serious on this. There's been a lot of really serious anti-trans legislation going on around the past year, but I just can't take it seriously coming from him. It's absurd. It's so absurd. I just can't take it seriously. I have to deflect into humor, I guess, is how I'm going to cope with this ridiculous bullshit. Oh, man.
On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous.
Cruel policies on gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. It's a bunch of buzzwords. They're never gonna like really substantially say why there's a problem.
Process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children.
So again, they will perform surgery on intersex babies. and that's fine. Those are exceptions that are in every single one of these anti-trans kid bills, is that they will allow mutilation of healthy intersex babies' body parts. So that's fine though.
Can you believe this?
Oh yeah, and they will circumcise every baby who is assigned male. Yeah, for sure. Sometimes without even asking the parents, they'll do it. Yep.
I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age.
So yeah, any organization. Wait. What did he? How did he phrase that? What did he say? Let's do it again.
Instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age.
Okay, so any federal program related to trans identities has to stop. Okay, I don't really know what falls under that purview. Sorry, that's fairly vague, and I'm not entirely sure what's meant to be implied by it. A bunch of easy to repeat buzzwords indeed.
I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures, and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go.
Okay, so is that going to also have an exception for the intersex kids, or what? And then, yeah, saying we're going to take away funding from any organization that provides these services. So it's going on the national scale. Can you do all this in an executive order? I don't think that you can do this. I don't think that you can do it in an executive order. How would you manage to accomplish all of this? Maybe you could get it through legislatively, as long as you have Trump in the White House. I don't know, man. Jeez.
Very quickly, I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare, and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support.
Yeah, we've already gone over this a lot lately, where they're just trying to declare that this is not adequate medical care, and people saying when he says at any age, he's saying gender affirming care should be banned for everyone. Yeah, I think that is definitely their purpose. We've gone over it recently. Some organizations are now explicitly saying we're interested in removing this ability to transition from adults as well. And I don't think that we need Trump to say it outright. I don't know. I will be interested to see if he does say something more direct about it here momentarily.
The creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures.
Oh, so does this mean that intersex people will be able to sue their doctors and get access to their sealed medical records? That would be cool. I think that would be a good thing to do.
On minor children, the Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich.
Okay, so again, these surgeries are usually not done for transitioning youth. Sometimes a teenager will get top surgery. Very occasionally a teenager might get genital surgery for the purposes of gender transformation, gender confirmation. There are so many different terms for the surgery stuffs. But it's not a horrific thing when that happens, but it is incredibly uncommon. And it is a lot less common than doing surgery on intersex infants, right? Yeah, and the issue here, if we're going to complain about doctors making money off of diagnosing patients, then maybe don't make healthcare a for-profit industry. I don't know, man. What if you just got healthcare? What if you just paid taxes and then you just got healthcare in a timely fashion because it was well funded and the money that was being taxed from us was actually being used toward the things that would make life better? But nope. Instead, we're just gonna say that this type of care is just illegal now. Sure.
At the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also invest.
Yeah, we get to weaponize the vulnerability of children in order to pass a bunch of laws restricting people's freedoms.
Investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers which are in no way licensed or approved for this use.
Are they not, though? But also, like, medicines are used for off-label use all the time, and that's fine. He said big farmer. Yeah. These medicines have been used for decades for this purpose. And if you can get an official diagnosis for gender dysphoria, then being prescribed hormones or puberty blockers is the direct use that is intended for the medicine, and it is not an off-label use. But also, off-label use just isn't a big deal. So, I don't know, there's that.
My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination.
What? What? Are you serious? You're gonna call it sex discrimination, the idea that you can have a gender that's incongruous with the sex assigned at birth. That is insane. I was already thinking before he said that, I was like, it's crazy how he's hitting all of the points, like all of the worst legislation that we've seen across the country, all of the worst sentiments he's managing to compile into one campaign video. But it's so much funnier than that. Oh my God. So I'm so overwhelmed. It's all of the thing. It's all of the shit that we've been making content about for the past year. It's so difficult to figure out how to address him sometimes. I bet that the TERFs love him calling trans people's existence sex discrimination. Yeah, absolutely. Grab him by the pussy, man, talking about sex discrimination for sure. Oh my God. I just needed to recover from that really quick. Let's keep going.
And the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers.
Oh yeah, so they're attacking homosexuality too. Just to be totally clear, they're attacking gay people too. They're like, we're gonna forcibly indoctrinate your kids into thinking that being gay is not normal. Oh my God, I didn't know that they were gonna do this.
And celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique.
And arbitrarily reinforcing a sex binary that is super, super blurry, actually. But all right, cool.
I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female.
So they want to take away your ability to put an X on your passport. All right, cool.
And they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear...
Okay, well, hey, you know what? They usually don't admit that it's assigned at birth. Usually, a lot of these people will say, your sex is observed at birth. It's not assigned at birth. So they've just admitted that this is a coercive system. They've just repeatedly admitted the sex binary is so fake that we have to reinforce it through education. Heterosexuality is so fake that we have to reinforce it through education and brainwashing and literally stripping funding from schools that educate. Basically him saying if you tell kids that they could be trapped in the wrong body, that's not allowed. So if you tell people that trans people exist and that it's possible, not even that it's good to be trans, but that it's possible to be trans, you're implicitly telling that kid that they could transition if they wanted to, because you're saying anyone could transition if they wanted to. And so even the neutral fact of statement of existence is called into question as being inappropriate and is now going to be punishable. This would be a sweeping overreach into a lot of different aspects of government, dictate, how are the states' rights people feeling about the idea that Orange Man is going to dictate what they're allowed to teach in their schools? I mean, obviously, in the places that would be doing states' rights arguments, that's, they would be on board with this anyway, because we all know that racism and transphobia go hand in hand. But Yeah, oh God. There's still like a whole minute of this video left.
The Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, and we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parent's consent.
So they're gonna seriously, they've managed to compile every single one of these issues into one video. Like, we're gonna make it so that at school we can't affirm your trans kid without telling you and risking that kid getting abused because, you know, maybe the kid had an accurate idea of what it would be like if they came out to their parents, and then you tell the parents that they're trans, and then the kids are gonna get abused at home. Whatever.
The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent.
The identity will not be new. What the Like, it seems like he almost went off script for a second there. Let's take that one back because I interrupted the flow of that one.
Gender which is new and an identity without the parent's consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent.
Yeah, I think that he read the line twice or something. Yeah, who is behind this speech? He did not write this, of course. He's clearly reading off a teleprompter. Like, whomst? Probably a whole team of people who just looked at all of these different laws around the country and managed to compile all of them into one really pretty brief script. Like, they've managed to keep this pretty tight.
No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of.
That's not what, like, again, so the other thing that is implicit here is that the idea that you are doing something to your children, that you're telling the children that they are trans, that their gender is wrong for their body or whatever, like, which is not the case. That's not how this works. It's a diagnostic process where you explore and figure it out with the child. And like, the best way to do it is to let the child lead you and not to like tell the child like, well, because you like trucks, you must be a boy. Like, that's not how this works. And they're just taking up, it's a straw manning thing. They're creating a false version of what we do and what we believe in order to attack that instead of attacking even like what we actually are doing, which is telling children that they can transition if they feel that that is right for them and that some people are happier that way. Yes, exactly. The child is the one thinking they're trans, and the parents typically are skeptical of it. Yeah, overwhelmingly, the overwhelming majority of the time, the parents of trans kids don't usually understand. They might be like, well, okay, well, what I'm hearing is that you want me to let you grow your hair out, and that is doable, and I think that's okay. I'm not sure yet about this nickname that you want to go by, but we can talk about it in an ongoing fashion. You know what I mean? Like, most parents are like, I don't really want to let you transition. And then they get put in a position where the kid is like suffering in school and they need to make a change in order to keep the kid happy and healthy and successful and safe. Yeah, it's so weird. People being like, you're transing the kids. You're trying to brainwash them. You're telling them that just because they like dolls, they must be a girl. Like, no, that's not how it works. Kids tend to gravitate toward things that are stereotypically associated with either gender because that's the idea of gender that they're presented with at that age. So that's like how they relate to those concepts is through these like superficial things. Typically, if society constantly says trucks are for boys, dolls are for girls, if you intuitively feel that you are a girl and you constantly hear this messaging about dolls and girls, then you're going to be like, well, I'm a girl, so I must need a doll. Like, that's what being a girl is, and it doesn't matter what your sex is. That's like how children express their gender, because that's like the very basic way that they understand it, you know? Of course, and they could care less about children. This is fundamentally not about helping children or saving them, because if they cared about that, they would be willing to look at the statistics about suicide and self-harm and other mental health outcomes for trans kids and correctly identify that those things resolve when you introduce social transition and sometimes medical transition, depending on whether it's age appropriate. I met a super happy 7-year-old trans girl today. Her parents are amazing. I'm so afraid for her. Yeah, it sucks. Doesn't it suck, that moment where you're like, I'm so proud of you, and I'm so happy that you get to be your best self from as early an age as you possibly could. And at the same time, like, you can't be fully happy for them. Like, you can't be fully happy for that trans kid that you're meeting, because like they're about to enter the Thunderdome and they shouldn't have to think about those things. Like, it's not right. But here we are. It's on the national stage now. It's going to be the main issue of the Republican Party, which hopefully results in them losing, as it has seemed to work out in a lot of these smaller elections. We're frequently seeing the more extreme right wing, like these candidates that really stake their whole issue, like their whole campaign on the transgender question, don't seem to be doing great in the polls. And we can hope that this stands. This is obviously, it's his first campaign video going this hard on it, so they're going to make it their main thing. And we just have to hope that not very many people get radicalized, and that maybe people who are on the fence are able to go like, whoa, this is a little bit too much. I'm a live and let live. I'm a libertarian or whatever, like, let's fucking hope that let's hope that this holds true, that the anti-trans rhetoric is hurting their chances of winning. All right, let's finish the last 20 seconds of this.
In all of human history, nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today.
What?
It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago.
So, like, yeah, I saw someone post on Twitter that if you think that trans people were just invented a couple years ago, I would like to introduce you to some Jerry Springer episodes from the 1990s. Like, are you for real right now? Oh my God.
Under my leadership, this madness will end. Thank you very much.
All right, that's the end. Holy shit, dude. Holy shit. I was frankly surprised that he was able to stay on script. I mean, I wonder how many takes they had to do for him to stay on script the whole time. He did fuck it up a little bit that once, but he did okay for most of it. Who wrote that? Man, they really managed to just squish every single one of the issues into one thing. And of course, like, it's just as bad and terrifying as it ever was. The idea that our rights are this was disparate. This was this state and this state and this state. I wonder how all those people that I debated with the other couple weeks ago, like, I wonder how all of them feel now when they were like, well, it depends on what state you live in, so you couldn't call it a genocide because it, if there's still places that are relatively safe within your country, but the thing is that when you point them to this, they're going to say like, well, Trump won't win, so it's not really genocide. Like, wow. Okay, great. I really hope the one thing that I do, okay, here's the one positive. One thing I do hope happens as a result of Trump, my big main man Trump, coming out against trans people this hard, is that I hope that this boosts it to more mainstream awareness. Like, I don't think that it will, honestly. But what I hope is that more people will see this and go, hey, it kind of seems like they're trying to make it so that trans people don't exist anymore, and that they will then become more politically aware of the fact that this has been more widespread. If Trump is repeating it, it's already mainstream. Well, so it's the mainstream Republican view right now, it seems. Like, amongst most Republicans right now, I don't know if that's actually true, but it seems like amongst most Republicans, being transphobic and going hard on this is the mainstream view for them. What I'm saying is that I don't think that many people outside who don't pay very close attention to the political sphere, I don't think that those people are as aware of the specific targeted issues that trans people are dealing with and the dangers associated with that. And so, yeah, I do hope that Trump making this video and like they're going to continue talking about it. He's going to continue hitting on this every time he clearly it's his first campaign video. They're making this their big issue. So hopefully it makes it to where more folks see it and go, yeah, that's fucked up. That's not okay. Like, let's hope that doesn't continue on the way that it's going on. But that's wishful thinking maybe on my part, I'll admit. Thank you so much for watching, and especially thank you to my patrons. I want to shout out some in particular. We got Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvog, Jovian F. Gaudreau, Bean, Amanda B., Danielle McDonald, Sarah A., R. Halverson, Wellington Marcus, Athiet, Michelle Winter, Nova, Suzanne Maynard, Elizabeth Bartell, Kevin Young, Sojo, and Mr. Atheist.